Joining me now for an amazing giveaways, our Hope Rises segment with Kate Glazer. Tell us about who you brought in today.
Yes, we have our board member, Mark Gleason, who is on the Hope Rises board, and Joe Levy, who is from Frontline Safety Supply. And we have this incredible AED giveaway leading into Heart Month in February. It's been 1 year since the incident with Damar Hamlin, so we got together as a team and we decided this was a great giveaway for the community.
All right, Mark, I'll start with you. Why don't you tell us about what sparked this and why it's so important?
So after what happened with Damar, we had a board meeting shortly after that, and we were discussing how we can help the community out. We came up with the idea to donate AEDs to the community. We know there's churches, schools, other places that can't afford these because the price of them is around $3,000.
Yeah, that's pretty steep.
So we purchased a couple of them, and I called Joe, who works for Frontline.
Right,
and
Joe,
he helped us out.
you're working with AED partners Zoll Medical, which is kind of like
Correct.
the top of the line for AEDs. So why is it important for organizations and sports teams to have one of these?
Well, I think the honest answer to that is what happened with Damar Hamlin showed the world about what sudden cardiac arrest is. It doesn't matter if you're in great shape, not good shape. Cardiac arrest can happen at any time. And to have an AED on site increases that patient's chance of survival tremendously. I've been an EMT now for 25 years, a volunteer firefighter. I worked for a commercial ambulance company. And when I worked for the ambulance company, part of my job was to try to find the best equipment out there. And that's how I discovered Zoll Medical. The Zoll AED, the one that Hope Rises is donating, is the #1 in the world for AEDs.
Right.
This particular machine, even if you don't have any AED training, will talk you through, and it also has a full color screen to show you what to do for that patient.
Yeah, so this is really like the best of the best, what you're going to get.
Correct.
And can we talk about kind of the particulars of this device? I know we'll do a demonstration another time, but you can
Sure.
kind of walk us through why this is so good.
So what's great about this unit is if you can see it's standing up. So when you approach somebody who is in cardiac arrest, they're laying down on the ground. By setting it up this way and you turning the machine on, it gives you a full display so you can see exactly what's going on. This is also the only, Zoll's the only manufacturer that has what they call real CPR help. So while you're doing compressions, if you're not doing them properly, it'll tell you push harder. If you're doing good compressions, it'll tell you good compressions. When you're doing CPR, if you're not doing good compressions, it's like you're not doing compressions at all. You're not helping that patient. So again, that's the technology with Zoll's. They're the only manufacturer in the world that has that type of technology. Another great thing about the AED3 is that these pads are good for both pediatric and adult.
That's
so
huge.
if you bring in, most AEDs are set up for adult pads. So if you have to go to a child, you turn the unit on, it'll say, if this is for a child, press the front button that you'll see over here. You press that button, automatically brings what they call the dual setting, which is the shock setting, down to a child. So instead of having 2 sets of pads and having to unplug and plug them back in, this is plugged in, this is set, this is ready to go.
Which is so tremendous because when something like this is happening, even if you have that training, it's hard to think, but this does the thinking for you.
Absolutely.
So Kate, do you want to kind of explain what this giveaway is and how is it working?
Yeah, well, thanks so much to Zoll Medical because they donated 2 of these devices. We purchased 2 from our nonprofit, so we were able to give away 4 in the community. We are giving them away to anyone who applies. We have a committee that is picking the 4 winners. We will identify them in February for Heart Month, so you have until February 15th to apply for this AED, and then hopefully you are selected as a winner, and then we will do this again next year. We want to make this an annual thing, but truly just something that is so important to the community. We're looking for those who are underserved, organizations that don't have an AED currently and will need the help financially to purchase one. So we just want to be a resource to the community and give away these amazing AEDs.
Yeah, this is an amazing blessing that you guys are doing for our community to give away 4 of these. Like she said, these are top of the line. Each of these are $3,000. So this is a big deal.
And they also come with training. So Joe is actually going to be training every single person that gets this AED the proper way to use it.
Joe, do you want to touch on that? Because we talked about, giving someone an AED is so important, but if they don't have the right training for it,
Correct.
it doesn't add up, right?
So I always encourage everybody to become CPR certified. I don't certify people in CPR, but what I do as part of my service is anybody locally, I show them how to use the unit. Because it's great if you have an AED, but everybody I've ever spoken to, if I see one on the wall and I ask them, do you know how to use that? They look at me like, no. Have you ever been trained on it? No. Do you know if it works? No. And that's a problem. You don't want to find out when you have to use it.
Right.
You know, being an EMT for so long, every time I went on a cardiac arrest call, you still get nervous. You still get that adrenaline going. So you want to make sure that you are familiar with that machine and familiar how to use it, because the last thing you want to do is walk up to a child or somebody in cardiac arrest and sit there and stare at it and be like, what am I supposed to do? But again, the great thing about Zoll is the pads have pictures. The machine talks you through everything. The pads are what I like to call pre-connected. So when you take them out of the package and lay them on the patient's chest, the pads line up where they're supposed to go. So it really takes a lot of that stress off the rescue, whether you're you're trained, you do it every day, or this is the first time that you're doing it.
Thank you all so much for coming in. This is an incredible giveaway. And if you and your organization want to apply for the AED, head over to hoperisesnews.com/AED giveaway. That's where you can go to apply. Thank you all so much for coming in.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.